Ray Allen Canine. It's no secret that we love Ray Allen Canine equipment. We use their products every single day at both Van Ness Canine and at Torchlight. Their mission statement says it all: to be the world leader in quality innovation for professional canine equipment for police, military, Schutzen, and ring sport. Tend to exceed their customers' expectations and deliver on time every time at a fair price. We full heartedly believe that they've held true to that since it is our go to one stop shop for everything canine, not just police dogs, but for any working dog.
This episode is also brought to you by our good friends over at Dogtra, dogtra.com. It's the e-collars that Ted and I use. It's e-collars most police dog guys use. Dogtra.com, e-collars, bark collars, ball launchers, one-stop shop for everything you need for your working dog, dogtra.com.
One of the other sponsors we're proud to have is HITS Canine Training Conference. It's the premier canine training seminar in the United States, packed to the brim with the world's best instructors covering important topics from admins to liability to detection work, all and tracking and everything in between. There's no better place to learn and no better place to network with other handlers, breeders, and trainers. HITS 2022 is being held in Orlando in August. So hit them up, hitscanine.net.
We're super happy to be represented by our good friends at Kinetic Dog Food. We've got great reviews from people all over the place. Ever since we joined up with them and partnered with them, their commitment to your dog's nutrition is top notch. KineticDogFood.com. Check them out.
Jim over at NC Canine out in North Carolina. It's the culmination of 13 years of experience in handling or training law enforcement canines. They use real world deployments to develop their training program and rely not only on their experience, but the current experience of the nation's canine handlers provide the best canine partner you can get. They provide pet training and police canine training based out of Four Oaks, North Carolina, and they serve the surrounding areas as well as nationally. Feel free to call them and learn more about their dog training program, police canine techniques, and methodologies.
We got a brand new sponsor, man, American Aluminum Accessories. My entire time in canine, and ever since I've been involved in the dogs, the kennel in the back of our cruisers has always been American Aluminum. Check them out. We're so happy to have them on here. EasyRiderOnline.com, EasyRiderOnline.com for everything you need from American Aluminum Accessories.
Speaking of kennels, once you get out of the car, you got to have somewhere to put them. So our friends up in Ohio at Horizon Structures make a one-stop shop for kennel. If you want a 2-dog kennel or if you want a 20-dog kennel, they got you covered. They get those things built and they drop it off at your house. All you got to have is a pad, electricity, and water, and you can put dogs in it that day. Horizon Structures can build you anything from mild to wild, and it is the one-stop shop, and you don't have to swing a single hammer. So hit them up, horizonstructures.com. Working Dog Radio, broadcasting the bite. With me, as always, is Eric Stenber. I'm Ted Summers from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Eric, what's going
on? You know what I'm doing? It's great. So I'm headed towards, remember I told you September and October, I'm taking off. No working dogs in my kennel. I'm pushing that way. I got 2 left. I'll have them till the end of August. And then I might have some pet dogs in there. I'm still going to do some training. Guys are going to come to me, do some training, but
yeah,
I got to have a fucking break at the kennel, man. I can't take it. I'm done. My wife came to work for the business. She's in half days in August, and then it'll be full time. She's still working her notice at the other job's a half day in the morning. So she's going to be coming with me every morning to the kennel. And when that type of stuff happens, and so that'll help, but fuck all that. I'm taking September, October off. No more poop kennels for a little while. But I'm doing a bunch of pet dogs myself. Like I said, I have 12 trainers at the business that work for me, and we're booked up, and I try not to be like November. So I'm doing 3 dogs myself. 1 left today, 1 leaves tomorrow, 1 leaves on Thursday. And did another go home lesson for something else earlier today. So everything, all aspects are busy. But plugging away, trying to enjoy the boat a little bit here and there. And so how about yourself?
We're rock and rolling. We got those 3 short hair pointer puppies that we're imprinting on, 1 on explosives and the other 2 on narcotics. And they are working puppies, and I kind of have to remind myself sometimes, just because they don't bite people, that they're still fucking pain in the ass. Like, they are just, I'm no lying. They're 10 weeks old and will not shut up. and they barked themselves into a frenzy. So I got some teeny tiny little dog bork collars for them and
Mhm.
set it on the lowest setting, and they were in the kennel asleep. I mean, it got to the point where I could only do one session a day with them because they would just sit and bark and bark and bark and bark and bark and bark and then shit everywhere. And I mean,
Mhm.
now, I mean, Jacob and I worked them 3 times a day on odor, so they just sit there and look at you now, and I'm like, yeah, and I can see that becoming an issue when they become adults. Like, I'm not gonna let you bark in the kennel. Shut. I hate that. I bugs the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Fucking
So
dogs bark
here's a
all
little
day.
trick that I do with puppies. So we do a thing on the pet side of our business, and I actually did it with a. I'm gonna have to do a whole video on Patreon about called tone avoidance. We use tone on the e-collar as a preparatory warning that there's stim behind it. Stop what you're doing. Excuse me. I don't have to talk to them at all. I just tone, stim, tone them off of everything in the house, creates great manners. But with puppies, what I do is we have them in a crate and they're going nuts, right? And I'll hide around the corner. I'll take a collar that has tone on it and I'll clip it to the crate, the gate,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
hide around the corner. And when they start going crazy, I hit tone, step around the corner, and spray them in the face with a water bottle, right? Just water. And they back up and I go hide again. Startles them, but I give them that tone warning first. Step back in, blat, water. Step back, they bark. I hit tone, they get quiet and fall asleep. Works in one day.
Oh yeah.
And then it starts conditioned. So then the tone actually shuts them up wherever you're at, just beep, and they get quiet.
There you go. Everybody listening, use a tone.
Tone avoidance.
Tone avoidance. Uh, we did one with a SWAT dog that I did that was his thing. Like to get him to his vibrate was the vibrate was a recall and tone was shut up. Because he would bark his head off, and that's how I fixed it. I just did tone avoidance. You hit the tone and blast him, and he'd shut up. But that was I've got 3 of these little shitheads now though, so I'd have to have 3 separate collars, 3 separate remotes. So
Yeah. Yeah, it would be a bit much.
no. So and then I sit there and make them watch the other dogs work, which they're super happy about. And I got a Rottweiler right now too, a Rockweiler.
Mm-hmm.
I can take the most well-bred, well-mannered Dutch Shepherd or Malinois into Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever, and everybody just kind of like, oh, what is that? A mix? And you're like, yeah, sure. But I take a Rottweiler in, and people are like, oh, beautiful dog. Everybody wants to pet him. Everyone wants to touch him. I'm like, why? Don't touch him. Leave him alone. He's super friendly, but that's his problem. Like he doesn't fucking ignore anybody. And his name's Kobe. He's been an interesting project for sure. He's super dog aggressive, which has been fun.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah, it's kind of a pain in the ass. So who do we have tonight?
Well, this is a interview long in the making. We've been trying to figure this out, trying to record this last week, and Tulsa had some like I don't know tornado or some shit that comes through there.
It's the weather.
But our guest is another one of our great friends that we'll get into. Had some military working dog extensive experience, and those of you who follow his social media know that his retired working dog just passed after having a great life. He got to work, he got to retire, he got to freaking get kind of famous a little bit and have a good time. So from War HOGG Tactical and On the Range podcast is our buddy Rick Hogg. How are you, buddy?
Man, doing good. Thank you guys for having me on. I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Sure. It's been love having you come on. I know we'll get into it a little bit, but we were talking before we started recording, jumping into the podcast world and kind of starting to share the love and share some experience and
talking about the myth of podcasting, that it's easy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All I do is
storage fees are nothing. It's easy.
All I do is sit here and tell jokes anyway. It's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about like what we like to do is go through the beginning of like a little bit of your history, where you're from, what your military career kind of looked like, and when dogs came in and all that other stuff, and what got us today.
Yeah. So originally grew up in New Hampshire. My grandfather and father were both veterans. So grandfather's a World War II vet. My father was a Marine Corps Vietnam vet. So I kind of always knew I wanted to join the service. Joined in 1988, went to one station unit training down at Fort Benning, Georgia. Trained there as an infantryman, did airborne school, show up at 82nd Airborne Division, 1st Battalion, 505th Parachute Infantry Regiment, and started my career there. I knew originally I wanted to go into special forces, but what had ended up happening was special forces became a branch. They were no longer doing the SF baby program. So people all think that's new. That was actually something they were doing back in the 80s. So just kind of missed that mark. Did my time in the 82nd, went to Desert Storm, came back, did Ranger School. Shortly after that, went to SFAS, successful there, over to 7th Group, did that, went to SWIC. And then once I was done my SWIC tour, go back operational 2004. And I think it was around 2010-ish, start working the dog and worked him till I retired in 2017. So very quick, broad brush overview.
So we had some guys on that recently that were over in the SF, and they managed to get out of SWIC. How did you not, or did you not try?
So long story short, I try. Everyone tries, right? So you get the old, hey, you're hiding behind the rucksack, you're doing this. Long story short, I had some favors done. So to rewind the tape, I was actually working at the 7th Special Forces Group, Special Forces Advanced Urban Combat Committee. So that was at the time our group commander's pet project. So I had his protection. But once the new commander came in, so I lost that protection, and some people that were gunning for me wanted me to get out to SWIC. And yeah, I wound up going out to Camp McCall to SFAS and had to pay my penance out there. So trust me, I tried. But there were powers to be that were saying, nope, you're going to go do some time in SWIC. So, all right. So
It's got to be the worst deal, like showing up as a fucking, and you just
horrible.
know every instructor there doesn't want to be there and they fucking hate you.
Well, so here's the thing, right? There's a yes and a no. So originally I was supposed to go out to Range 37, which teaches marksmanship and CQB. They also do the sniper course, but I was going to go over to the Sephardic side. And again, strings get pulled. Next thing you know, you wind up out at SFAS, which, oh, by the way, is dealing with guys the same type of people every 30 days because you're just trying to put people through. You got guys that don't want to be there. You got some guys that want to be there. You got some guys that it's just herding cats, man. So it was just it was an interesting experience, was not an enjoyable job.
So at what point during all of this, because getting in 88 and everything like that, dog's not really that big.
No.
What was the first part you were like, oh wait, what's that? What are we doing here? What's with the dog?
So really it was you got to think the GWAT was the ramp to the dogs. And you start going out and you've got dogs with you. And it was very shortly during that time that you learn that these dogs are better than technology. So the dog's telling you, for one example, kind of broad brush, dogs telling us to go left. You know, if you want to say the technology machine's going, hey, go right, we go right because we think they know what's right. They were wrong. The dog was right, and end up just making the night a little bit longer. But the point being is that was kind of one of those aha moments. I mean, besides all the guys, these, you know, dogs apprehend and everything else, and the lives that are saved by them, you know, leading up to that, it's just one of those key things. It's just one more straw in the cap for the dogs to go, man, these things are the best combat multiplier in the battlefield. And once you start seeing that in action kind of night after night after night, you're like, yep, I got it. But it comes at a cost because we lose dogs as well. So that it didn't take, trust me, it does not take long to see those dogs in action and go, yep. And then, you know, had the opportunity, kind of was voluntold to go work the dogs, and like, yeah, that's cool. So ended up doing that. So it doesn't take long.
No, it definitely doesn't. Did you end up going to Von Lick for handler school?
No, we did it in-house. I did an in-house one. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
That's one of the first ones I've heard of. I wonder if they started doing that after you. What year was that about when you got in there?
It was 2010.
No, yeah, oh, that's good. We've talked to people that have been right around the time or after, and some went to Von Lick, and some were out at Adlerhorst and different places like that. What was it a situation where you got a dog and that's who you trained up with, or did they have you help and learn, train a bunch of different dogs in the kennel?
Little bit of lead up to, but they kind of, as working other dogs, they gave me kind of what was going to be my primary dog in the interim. Really wasn't working him a whole bunch, just kind of working that whole initial bonding process. And then I think probably within a couple weeks later, the course started and started working him. So kind of laying that foundation of building the bond and then going right into training with him.
Who was that?
So that was my first dog was Marco. So
Mhm.
he was a Mali. I had him, I lost him in 2012. And when you start painting the story, with Marco, I end up getting Duco. And here's the thing, Duco was a Dutch Shepherd. I didn't want Duco. When I first, so lose Marco one day, pick up, this Dutchie the next day. And I'm like, I don't want no Dutchie. I said, where's my Mali? I said, I want a Mali back.
I want the old one back.
I do, because
Right.
he was a very edgy dog, right? He was a great combat dog. And I told myself, I said, I'm going to retire this dog when it's time, because obviously, the deal. Hey, once they're retired, bring him back home. But he was not the right fit. He would not have been the right fit. So in essence, I wind up with this Dutchie. I'm like, God, here we go. All right, whatever, we'll make it work. And that was the best thing. So Duco by far, he was an absolute beast on the battlefield. And to me, he was the gold standard for what dogs need to be. So much to the point, I would say, if I could have cloned that dog and outfitted every single organization that runs a dog, that would be the standard. His temperament from going, just chilling out 1 second, and man, when it's time to be, beast mode, he was absolutely there. I remember one time we were training with Armin Winkler, doing some bite work, and Armin's sitting there, closed fist, smashing Duco in the head, and Duke's just getting pissed, driving more into him. He's like, man, this dog is hard. I was like, yeah, Armin, he's freaking proven, because we'd already done a rotation. It's like, yeah, tell me something I don't know. Not trying to bust on Armin, but that was just the point. But the thing was, Duco was his social ability was absolutely phenomenal. Sit there, run around with the boys, no issues, dramas. He was super good on a helicopter ride and just kind of sit there and chill out. But man, as soon as he heard that rotor pitch change, and the thing you got to think about is, granted, sometimes the pilots are just making corrections to their flight, but hear that pitch change, next the ears point up, he's all perking up, going, hey man, it's time to get on. It's like, buddy, we're still 20 minutes out, man. Just chill out, relax,
Relax.
Yeah, just,
Hey.
So, but yeah, and then ended up running, Duco to the end, ended up pretty much retire him towards the end. So what winds up happening, I think he had some med issues unbeknownst, so nothing that we could physically really see. We were out doing a training exercise one time, and all he had to do is really just jump in the back of a little, I think it was like a Ford Ranger pickup truck. And it wasn't that he didn't want to, things just wouldn't fire where he couldn't. So we kind of go back to, I believe we ended up in 2012 falling out of a helo from about 30 feet and filling in the target one night. Things just got squirrely with the pilots. Think we were at a little 4-foot jump. They pull power. We go out. I get knocked unconscious. I've got his vest all wrapped up in my hand. This thing's all jacked up, and he seems to be fine. We get him all checked out. And I mean, he's getting regular checks by the vet and everything like that. So we're not seeing anything sticking out medically. But then kind of towards the end of his career, it's like, dude, what's going on with you? So we kind of make that point. It's like, yeah, but it's time to retire, because you can't operate at the full level that you need to. And the last thing I need to do is, you need to go somewhere or jump somewhere. And I got it. You've got the desire, but you just don't have the physical ability. So go ahead.
Yeah, there's always a tax to be paid on that, when they have those injuries,
Mhm.
human and dogs.
Oh, yeah.
They'll ignore it, man, for a long time.
Yep.
And it's interesting to see that. So let's go back real quick to Marco. What did you like about that dog?
He was a great combat dog. He was just, he was like edgy. He was always out looking for that hunt. Socially, I mean, it wasn't like he was tagging the guys.
Mhm.
We did have a come to Jesus one time, because again, he tried to test the water to see who the alpha was. And of course the boys are like, hey, you're killing your dog. Yep, we're good here.
He's not gonna die. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
It'll be close, but no.
Yeah. Bring him, basically, all right, did you see Jesus? Yep. All right, come on back. Boom, okay, let's go see him again. Boom. So, but that was the good thing with Marco, right? But he would not have been the fit to bring home. Looking back,
Yeah.
hindsight being 2020, he probably would have sat there, and whether it was, test mama, test the kids, whatever. But on the battlefield, no doubt about it. so that was, that to me was his biggest pro on that. The con, obviously the social side. And it was just one of those dramas you got to kind of deal with,
Yeah, folks don't know. They're like, "Oh, you didn't take him home, or you could have done this." You got to live with that dog, and it can be a long day every day.
Sure.
How was he back at like when you guys had downtime? No, there was no settle, or
No, I mean, he was fine there, but then again, you got to understand, the boys sit there and mess around, right? So they're always playing jokes or doing something stupid. That's just what they do. So somebody got this stupid fishing donkey toy sent from home, right? So you press the button, it flops around, or and of course, what do they do? They do it in front of Marco. And what's Marco do? Can't resist himself, right?
it. Yeah,
just trashes this thing, and I'm like, guys, come on, it's like, really? Oh, I didn't think he'd do that. What'd you think he was gonna do? It's like, come on, man.
His job is to find bombs and bite shitheads. What'd you think
Yeah.
he was gonna do?
Yeah,
Like,
it's like you're out there enticing him with this, toy wiggling around. Of course, that thing's plastic; it's all crack and busting. It's like, all right, there goes fishing donkey out of the way. So,
hey Lord. So back then with him on those deployments, was it mostly like on target direct action stuff with him, or was he doing? Were you doing more route clearance things with him?
no, it was more direct tracking stuff, because that was over in Afghanistan. Wasn't a whole bunch of route clearing to go on. Hey, you're pretty much flying in vicinity wherever they can get a close spot. So there's no reason to do a route clearance there. So mainly direct action. Then once you're done, you're going to switch into explosive detection.
Yeah, we when I went out to California to work for Cobra on the West Coast NSW contract, at that time, that was October of 13. They were way on the Y on the landing, and so everything we were doing was all just route clearance for the most part. I'm sure they, overseas they got a few X landings and banging right into it. But back then when you were in there, what explosives were you guys seeing? Was it like RDX, or were they on ammonium nitrate, or what were they?
No,
doing?
it was mainly HME stuff, so some components thereof. But again, everything's different, right? Everyone's got different stuff. But HME is kind of the staple over there, because that's what, if you want to say get it organically, you kind of make it yourself and go from there. So, but it was a mix, wasn't one or the other. It was just they'll sit there and take whatever scraps they can find and try to make something. So
yeah, we interviewed Travis Bobo, and he was part of the task force over in Syria, and they were talking about how they were using the aluminum spray paint for part of it. And then he was like, where are the dogs? Because he and the EOD guy would mark the boundaries with spray paint, and the dogs would alert on the fucking spray paint. He's like, what in the hell is going on? And then they figured out, like, they found a facility where they were making stuff, and they would spray it into like a canister or something and wait for it to dry and scrape it off and use the aluminum flakes out of it. I'm like, oh man, here they just huff it. So there they used to make bombs. I mean, I guess both are bad, but both aren't good. But so how many rotations did you do with Marco?
Just one.
Just one. So did he get medical? What's the story on Marco? How did he end up not going back?
So he had some med issues, and we had to euthanize him. So there was no recovering for him.
And so immediately after that, you get Duco, and you're like, I don't want a fucking stripy asshole. I want the other one back. So yeah, we'll talk about that a lot.
I probably would have been happy with any other Mal, right? But then all of a sudden, here comes this brindle Dutchie, and I'm just like, and Dutchies, it's weird, right? Because Mally's got their own perceived dramas, right? But everyone will seem to accept that. Dutchies seem to be worse, right? They're kind of, you're either going to get a stellar one, or you're going to get some bipolar one that you don't know which way it's going to go.
Whose head is this big?
Yeah, those are my favorite.
So, and I lucked out, like I said, with Duco, I totally lucked out. He, in my opinion, he was the standard when it came to a military working dog.
At what point? So were you back here when you got him, or was he a replacement dog? They send him over to you?
No, so usually had a spare, and he was basically our spare dog. So we kind of knew, we knew things were leading up, to Marco. And I don't know if I was in denial. I don't know if I didn't want to even mess with him. I don't remember everything that led up to why I didn't really interact that much with him. But then obviously, come the next day, all right, here's your dog. All right, here we go. But it took that next, so I got him, I think a couple months later, we were deployed, and that solidified everything right there. To watch that dog, I knew he was good in training, didn't really see any flaws, any issues, didn't think there'd be any dramas, but just to watch him go overseas, and then after that rotation, it's just, you've got a different dog. I mean, you have a proven beast that will absolutely destroy a man. And it's like, cool, buddy, just sit there, wreck a guy 1 minute, find bombs the next, and it's like, you're the dog I want. Oh, by the way, you're a good social dog. Come on, so
that's something that, that's super important. And when we interviewed Kelly Roby, he talked about being able, and the way he described it is like they can just see in the Matrix. And so I kind of, I'm like, you mean, I kind of like you said, he would hear the rotor pitch change, and then he's like, oh, let's go, it's time to work.
Yeah.
But if that is a very, Eric and I both kind of have a reputation for taking dogs that kind of that are problem children. And I don't mind a dog that is a little wonky, if you get into him for a little bit, if you overcorrect him and he gets all funky. But for dogs that just for no reason, or dogs that just normal shit, and they're like, no, I'm not gonna, and it's not even a warning shot, it's like they go from 0 to hero over just accidentally stepping on them, and after they've done it 100 times. And I was like, I'm the last one I just went through, I'm done with that. Because then I got to turn them over to a police department, right? I can handle dogs like that and not get smoked 90% of the time, but I turn them over to a cop, and the vast majority of law enforcement officers and the vast majority of most military handlers, even then, it's they don't need to worry about, I can't imagine having to be in a situation like that, just worried, fuck, is this the day that he fucking smokes somebody, or am I going to have to break him off or somebody, or
yourself?
Oh yeah, myself. Yeah,
my own leg or something.
Believe me, there's a reason I always have a breaker bar on me at the kennel.
Yeah, but see, a lot of that boils down to when you look at these guys, they just don't have the time. They, you look at the LE guys, and not to bust my LE guys' chops, they do have the time. They just don't know how to manage it. So they don't know how to sit there and go, all right, hey man, nothing's going on right now. Let's figure out a plan to meet wherever, get a quick training session in. It doesn't have to be all day. It doesn't have to be hours on end, just a quick something. All right, cool. Because again, you're not looking to burn the dog down, because you might need to use him later on during that shift, but get something. And that's the biggest thing I try to convey to these guys is, what are you doing to make yourself and your dog better? I mean, it can be all kinds of different things, but these guys, they get in the car, they drive around, and it's like, what did you do to train? What do you mean? Come on, man. Really? Something. So I think the opportunity is there. They just don't capitalize on it.
So one thing I wanted to ask you about, you've mentioned it twice already, and we haven't really talked to anybody on the show about this. Transition drills. So smoking a dude, crushing a dude, and immediately going and finding explosives. What was your training run up for that, and how did you employ it overseas? Well, how did you transition from that high state, from just biting a dude and go to detection? What was your move, so to speak?
So it's all about the ritual, at least in my opinion. So you set up, hey, you get him off the bite, you're going to vacate, whatever area that guy's in. And then again, you got to look at where you starting your search sequence at. And then from there, to me, it was always how we're clipping in, because I would always do it on a leash. It just gave me that better control. Boom, that was part of the ritual. Get it off, clip it there, give him a search command, and went about our business. So it was just the way we worked it in training, and then the way you transition over. And I think that's where a lot of people, a lot of people go wrong. So let's think about it. All right, cool. I've got the bite. Now I'm going to go transition over to detection. Does he have to find anything? Nope.
Nope.
No.
But too many times everything's paired, right? Or you do
Mhm.
just the opposite. You go in and the structure's a blank. There's nothing in there as far as a decoy goes. And then you transition right over to odor. So it's just the way you put the variables in there that I think during the training portion, then subsequently, once you go over and are doing it real world or in combat or whatever you want to say, it just transitions over to, okay, cool, no problem. So it's a game, right? You're always playing a game with these guys. So, all right, you got prize number one. You know what? You might get prize number two, you might not. So, and you just work through it. Or you might come in and, hey, there's no prize, but you might get a prize over here for doing this. So that was just the way we worked it. So it's always a guessing game. They don't know, hey, am I getting a bite? Am I not? Am I finding a bomb? Am I not? But I want the reward. Ultimately, at the end of the day, they're looking for that reward. So that was just the way we kind of worked it on my end. And just having that ritual set up,
Yeah.
even if he's in there, it's a blank, there's no decoy. Okay, cool. I'm still going to clip you up with that leash the same spot, the same way, so that he knows, yep, this is what we're doing. Give him his suit command, off we go. Just switch over.
I teach my law enforcement handlers a lot, and during our handler school, there's a track that I specifically do because I know exactly everything, all the variables. But the track starts out, and it's a single blind. The handler has no idea what's going on. We track to a vacant house, and I know that the decoy is run through and everything's secured, and we send the dog in, and there's nobody in the house.
Mhm.
And when we come in, they clear the building, and then we go out the back door, and the handler's got to get him back under control after not getting a bite, and then pick the track back up and continue
Mhm.
tracking. And watching them manage drive. And I've been telling them like all the time, like, for the last month, I'm talking to them about drive capping and all these exercises and these drills we do. And like everybody gets in a fucking hurry. Like I'm like, this isn't timed right now. Like you can just do whatever you need to do. If it takes 30 seconds, if it takes 3 minutes, like whatever you need to do to get him to like chill out, like just do with that. And for whatever reason, most of the dogs, each one is different. Some of them are fine. Like you just down them and let them wait for a second and they're fine. Some of them, you got to give them a reward for searching, play tug, 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 do the whole thing and be like, all right, buddy, let's go back to work. And they pick it right back up. But a lot of dudes get super frustrated. And I'm like, why are you in such a fucking hurry? So if you're listening and you're law enforcement handler, that's one that you can do that fucks with people. And like new handlers for sure, like multiple searches. So
but you hit the nail on the head, right? They are so used to every time they go in that structure getting a bite.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And that to me is the number one training flaw when you look at dogs. So you look at how many times a cop employ their dog, or even how many times did I employ my dog. You think he got a bite every single time he went out? Nope.
No.
Why are we training it? So in essence, you're training that drama in there. So if he goes in there, right, man, I got nothing. And you've got some dogs that go, I'm going to bite something. And typically who's rolling in behind him?
Yep.
Right? His
Sergeant.
pack's in there behind him and somebody's getting tagged. And to me, that boils down to, so you never trained, I just call them blanks or no decoy, whatever word you want to use, but you never worked blanks into your training problem.
Yeah,
so that dog,
and a lot of our guys will for detection because of a lot of case law stuff, and I do the same thing. And, we talk about this on tracks because people are like, well, dogs aren't successful on tracks. A lot of the times, I don't remember what the DOJ says, like 27% or something, but they count
I didn't even think it's that high.
Well, whatever the number is, it's low, but they like if you track and, the homie gets picked up by the homies of the girlfriend or something and it ends in the middle of a street. I mean, the dog did his job. Like he just either got picked up by aliens or his girlfriend. And like, so it's a successful track because he finished it. But the way that they count the statistics is, oh, it's unsuccessful because you didn't find him. But what you did is do a lot of elimination. But that happens all the time. And we do that all the time. And, there's a divide on the law enforcement side of tracking to non-people, like tracking to an area where you're not gonna find anything. You're just following human odor, or full on, doing the whole proximity alert and teaching all those things. But and like tracks, and I ask this to people a lot of time, guys tracking. I'm like, you guys track blanks? Like, how the fuck do you track a blank? I'm like, well, they don't find anything. And they're like, well,
so
why?
when they are out of odor?
Well, yeah. And I'm like, how many times you go on a track where like dude gets picked up, or they slip through perimeter, or they get past perimeter before they can get it set, or like whatever. And they were like, oh yeah, all the time. And I'm like, no, why don't you fucking train it? Like, because then that he was like, oh, we get to the end of a track and we start making announcements. Like when we get a proximity alert and somebody gives up, and then the dog's like, oh, I don't get to bite anybody. And he tries to smoke the backup guy, tries to smoke the handler or whoever. And I'm like, stick something in his mouth. He can't bite you. He's got a fucking Kong in his mouth.
Yeah. Or he just learns, that, hey man, I don't always get, just because I'm working doesn't mean I always get it. So it goes back. I see it more, on the track stuff, but more times, 9 times out of 10, you think about clearing a structure. Doesn't mean there's going to be somebody in there. So let's say hypothetically, I'm an LEO, get called to some, ODark 30 burglar alarm. Who knows what, excuse me, what potentially caused it. Okay, goes in there, does a search. Okay, doesn't find, because he's always been trained to hit a decoy. And now he's like, okay, you two jerkies look like, good enough to bite to get some frustration out. It's just work it into your training. I got it. It's not cool. It's not sexy. Some will say it's a waste of time. I think it makes better use of your time so that you can put that dog in check, so you're not having dramas down the road. But
yeah, and I can tell you, I know where it comes from. So before I retired from the department, I had 38 dogs that we trained at maintenance training and did their classes and maintenance training. Those guys are coming every 2 weeks. One, they get two trainings a month. So I'm guilty as anybody of doing certain scenario-based things that always had some sort of bite, because most of the guys, my department had 6 dual-purpose dogs and 1 single. We were very busy biting all the time, getting a lot of apprehensions, and then some medium departments, and then low departments that don't even really get building searches all that much. So we end up doing, trying to help them, keep their dog up on it. So you end up doing it that way. But like my agency would do, each guy would do 2 or 3 building searches a shift. And I mean, once every couple of weeks, there's a guy in there that they get to bite. So we would do it at training that way. And I know it's exactly why it ends up happening. Limited, there's that Supreme Court standard of 16 hours a month. That's what they suggest. And by God, that's all you're going to get. For 99% of departments.
And then you have to fight for the 16 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you do. But see, here's my point. You do and you don't, right? And I get it. Every department's different. What they have logistically is all different. Okay. But could I not set a scenario up somewhere? Okay. Whether you've got a training area you use, an old abandoned house, part of the department, it doesn't matter, right? Send him in and there's no decoy. Maybe he just retrieves a ball. Whoopee ding, right? But he still didn't get the bite. It's something to bridge the gap. And that's my whole point is guys, handlers are always looking to trainers to train. Okay, why can't the handler train? Why can't he do stuff? And that's that's my argument to the LE side. And I get it. You've got to put, if you want to say 16 hours with the trainer, whatever it is, okay, cool. But you're telling me as Snuffy Patrolman, and again, you know your area better than I do, there isn't somewhere I could use, and it doesn't have to be a bunch of rooms, couple rooms structured in the department, whatever. Cast him in there, obviously make sure it's clear. Hey, whatever that last room is, he's going to get a ball, right? Slight mitigation so you potentially don't get tagged. Maybe you wean it off as you start seeing him work, but at least start showing him, hey man, there's not always a bite in there. And I think that would help mitigate some of the dramas down the road. But the burden's got to go back to the individual officer to do some work on his own. I mean, are they doing obedience? I don't know. Are they doing any type of detection? I don't know. Why can't
detection's usually the one they'll do on shift? They'll throw a little bit of dope or, a little bit of explosives out, a couple things, but
yeah.
Real quick before we take our first break, back up to deployment with Marco and then your Duco. K9 gear loadout. What did you look like? What it looked like? What changed from the first one to the second one that you didn't need? Did you end up getting some different gloves that worked better? What kind of all that? What did it look like?
Wow. So you're going to ask the guy that, let's think here, 10 plus years ago, I guess, cranking with God knows how many TBIs to go, what did you have? So I will tell the viewers, listeners, this, couple of regrets, didn't take enough pictures and I didn't journal. I don't think To the best of my recollection, I don't think a whole bunch changed, to be honest with you. Had to take on a little more water just because, you got to take care of your buddy. I don't think really anything majorly changed. I think it was pretty much, I want to say for the most part, probably status quo.
Yeah. Were you a short leash or long leash guy?
I had both. So
Yeah.
again, depending on application, right? So you got to think dynamic situation. I may have to put him somewhere where I want him to have further reach, but I don't want him to free run, nor do I want to keep him on my 6-footer. So I might have a long line to sit there and go, hey, let's say, for example, I've got a cave entrance or something like that. Just need you to check out the first part because I don't want to launch you fully in because I don't know where you're going to go or get suckered into. So you got a 30-footer, might use it for that. So just varying applications. I had both on me. And you just used it, the 6-footer obviously was the majority of the work, but there was times where, hey, if you needed that 30-foot, definitely needed to use that the night that me and Duco fell out of the helo. I can get into that, after the break if you want.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take our first break. When we come back, you heard it. We're going to talk about Duco, the falling out of the helo, and what life was like, kicked up on the couch. Although I don't know that was very often, but we'll be right back. We have a long-standing relationship with the guys over at HITS K9 Training Conference. It's truly America's premier K9 seminar. It is the largest. It is the best. They cover every important topic in the K9 industry. Hundreds and hundreds of vendors, thousands of K9 people there. Everybody in this industry is there. Ted and I will be teaching. HITS 2022 is being held in Orlando, Florida, August 16th to the 19th. Also, check out their website, hitsk9.net. They have other classes that they're putting out online, Zoom classes and all kinds of other things. They're offering in-person classes leading up to HITS 2022, Orlando, Florida, August 16th to the 19th. Check it out, hitsk9.net.
Everyone knows that I live on chicken nuggets and Coors Light. So that doesn't mean your dog should, though. Our friends at Kinetic make it a point to fuel working dogs, and they know that it can be tough and they need high quality food, unlike me, to give them energy and the nutrients that they require. I just subsist on air and Coors Light, but the dogs can't. They actually have to work. So for that, we asked Kinetic, and Kinetic has come up with a great balance of healthy meats and grains and is made specifically for working and sport dogs. They have a full line of foods and supplements available, and they've been working to perfect their line for thousands of dogs in hundreds of departments across the U.S. You can buy it locally online or at Tractor Supply, or you can get it at Chewy. So head over to their website, kineticdogfood.com, 513-615-6904. And get them on the socials at Kinetic Dog Food.
So probably the number one product I've ever advertised for or used that does what they say is Quick Derm by Vet Care. I have it at my house. I have it at the kennel. I have it at the fun house. I have it at the doggy daycare. I have my trainers have it at their house. It is unbelievable how it works. You guys have all heard Ted and I talk about it, how we've gotten tagged by dogs, or dogs do, if you're dealing with working dogs, weird stuff happens, right? Cuts how the hell that happened? Bites, scratches, all kinds of things that happen, especially if you're doing anything in the wooded area, they get tore up. The Quick Derm by Vet Care, it is no exaggeration. It is great. So once daily treatment for any skin condition or small wounds to help stop little issues from becoming big ones. Comes in sprays, ointments, or dressing. Quick Derm is great at creating a protective barrier and promoting wound healing. The best thing, too, is they have a discount code. Get on their website, vetcare.us. That's vetcare.us. Put in the discount code 10WDR in capital letters, 10WDR for 10% off your first order.
These next guys have actually been on the show, and we instructed at the first Tripwire conference down in Florida. Jim O'Brien was a guest on the show, and he runs NCK9, who has now come onto the show as a sponsor. Jim's been around for quite a long time, about 13-ish years, with experience handling and training law enforcement canines. He uses real-world deployments to develop training program and not rely only on their experience, but current experiences from most of their national canine teams and handlers to provide the best canine partner that you guys can purchase. They provide pet training and police canine services based out of Four Oaks, North Carolina, and they serve the surrounding areas. Feel free to give Jim a call, a text, carrier pigeon, however you want to get a hold of him, to talk to him about police canine training or pets and techniques and methodologies. So hit him up at 919-438-0141 or J O'Brien. That's JOBRIEN at NC letter K number 9.us. Check the show notes. We'll put it there.
All right, everybody, we are back. Working Dog Radio, broadcasting the bite. Staring at each other for a couple weird seconds there. Jam the commercials right in the middle there. Don't forget, those of you who skipped the commercials, because I know most of you did, bottom of the show notes has the discount codes. Go check out our sponsors. We got great people. You know, we've got kennels in there. We got people providing dogs, vet care. We got all kinds of stuff in there, man. Go check it out. We got big sponsors, Dog Show, Ray Allen. We have a lot. So go check it out. Don't ask Ted and I what the discount codes are because we don't know them.
I don't know.
No, we have to be told when we read the commercials every single time what the discount codes are.
Like, go look at iTunes. It's on there.
Yeah.
You just scroll to the bottom.
It's like Ted texting me saying, "What's my ATM pin?" I don't know. I don't know the discount codes. I don't know your ATM pin. I don't know nothing. So again, and I only had one TBI and just from a motorcycle crash, so I can't remember shit. That's why my phone's like glued to me. If it's not in the phone, I'm screwed. So anyways, we're back with our buddy Rick Hogg from War HOGG Tactical and On the Range podcast. So we get to work. We got Duco. We're working him. Medical problems we talked about, little hitch in his giddy up that is obvious, and it's becoming an issue. So when they decide to make the decision, was it straight? Did he go straight to you? Was there a lag time? Was he at the kennel for a while? How'd that all spin out?
No, I mean, he was still my dog. And it was funny because his retirement and my retirement pretty much ran parallel. So I knew when I was getting out and we started seeing the med issues with him. So it's like, all right, let's get his paperwork put in and get it done. So yeah, in essence, my retirement ceremony was his retirement ceremony. So
perfect.
We both walked out together. So yeah, it was a good thing.
So let's back up and talk about what caused the injury. Talk about that night if you can, as much as you can. 30 feet from a helo sounds horrible. Absolutely horrible.
So we were coming in target one night over in Afghanistan, standard kind of, we didn't realize it at first, but the ground was kind of sloping. So the pilots come in, they start rolling a little bit. They go to a rear wheel hover. The boys are starting to bail out. Things look good. And get to that point where you're getting ready to disembark. It's going to be a little drop, no big deal. Done it umpteen times before. And next you know, boom, he just pulls power. And for my recollection of jumping off of things and doing stuff, I'm going to say it was about 30 feet. And it's like, oh, good Lordy. So we start flailing down and, hear the big snap, bang, see the stars and all that other stuff. And however long I was out for, I remember waking up, my nods were knocked off my face. I know there's a tail rotor somewhere very close to my melon. Ooh. And Duke is all wrapped up in my purse just because of the way I had him on the vest. So this hand, these fingers are all just twisted around. It's like, all right, buddy, let's start low crawling and trying to save our own life because I really don't want to get killed by my own aircraft. Aircraft flushes, get up, kind of check things out. Number one, get your nods back on. All right, I got somehow lost the magazine out of my rifle. At that point, use my left hand to go get a new one. This thing doesn't work. So here we go. So grab one out of the right, make sure that's good. Duke seemed to be walking fine. So we're like, all right, all's well. I remember there was at least 2 or 3 caves, kind of like these little caves or cutouts leading up to the compound. And of course, hey man, they want to get the dog up there to check him out. So going back, this is when you got to figure out, I've got no left hand. It's a very tight quarter where you really can't get another security guy in there. So I wind up hooking Duke up to the long line. I basically pin the long line underneath my arm. So my arm is acting like my hand for friction. Got my rifle under my arm, using my IR laser, going, all right, if there's somebody we got to deal with, I guess we'll deal with it this way. And kind of let him run to about full length, did a check, nothing seemed to, didn't alert anything. So it's like, all right, clamp your arms tight and just start walking back and rolling them back and kind of repeat that process to the next one. And I think that was either one or two. I don't remember, because again, the whole concussive amnesia thing, I don't remember actions on the target. Don't really remember exfilling from target. I think I remember at some point telling our medic, hey man, I probably need to see you when we're done. Yeah, it was just, I cared more about my hand than I did my head. I don't think I even told him about being knocked out, because for the longest time, I never would say I was knocked out. I'd say I had unaccounted time, because again, if you start whacking your brain, the last thing you want to do is get benched. What the hell's unaccounted time? It's Rick's way of lying to everybody, going, yeah, I got knocked out and just don't want to say it. So it's kind of one of those, any of my service members out there, if you're listening, dude, if you've been knocked out, tell somebody you've been knocked out. That was probably the dumbest thing, because I probably should have got checked out after that, or at least got some things notated. But I cared about my hand. I was like, I need my hand to work. That's what I care. I thought it was broken. Doc's initial look, he thought, hey, maybe you popped the tendon over. So of course, now you're sitting there trying to fly out, find a place in country that's got, x-ray machine, get some x-rays on it. All right. And yeah, wind up just kind of chilling out for a little bit, just trying to get that thing healed, and probably went to game day sooner than I should, but I wasn't let the boys going to go out, without their most important asset on the battleground. So it's like, hey, we'll figure out how to finagle things there. And yeah, so the hand's never been the same. And that, you talked about kind of those catastrophic events. For me, that was probably the catastrophic event for both of us, unbeknownst to him. But, down the road, at least for me, it's like, why is my memory going? I think, that major concussive episode on top of everything else didn't help things out. The hands never really recovered back to the same. The radiating nerve pain is still there. Back looks crookeder than a politician. All the crap that happens. Neck's all jacked up. Because again, I remember we looked at X-rays from 11, because you got to get your chest X-ray or whatever. You can kind of see part of the C series in your spine. It looks good, and next we got one after that that fall, and it's like, oh, good lordy, man, what's going on there? So it is what it is.
Yeah, when a layman, when you're not a medical guy and you can see it, you're like, oh yeah, that's not good.
Yeah. That doesn't look, hey, that doesn't look right. You're just comparing pictures. Hey man,
Yeah.
what happened?
On the right, we have a normal one. On the left is yours, and you're like, oh, I got it.
And I think part of that too is, where the ground was sloped, because we talked about the helo kind of rolling downhill. So you got to think, I didn't even hit both feet at the same time. One side hit first, then smashed the other. So who knows? Yeah, it is what it is. But
what ended up being the issue with the hand? Was it a tendon popped over, or did you break it?
No, it wasn't broken. The tendon didn't pop over. I think it was just massive soft tissue on there. But then in turn, what wound up happening was, unbeknownst at the time, you had C5, C6 kind of getting that impingement going on. So that's where that radiating nerve pain came in. There had to be something done to the ligaments, because your whole range of movement gets super restricted. Any type of, whenever you went flat palm and kind of put any pressure down like that, you started getting all kinds of radiating nerve pain from that, was it ring finger there? So yeah, it just, and again, it was one of those that you just kind of deal with it till it gets to a certain point. And then typically when you get to that certain point where you got, in my case, it was an arm that wouldn't push and an arm that wouldn't pull. It's like, hey, you go see the PTs, like, we need to get something fixed. And when they start unraveling Pandora's box, it's like, oh, good Lord. Because originally it was like, hey, get these arms working. I think this one here is because of the elbow. Yeah, it was because of the elbow, because the radiating nerve pain, unbeknownst to me, because we tried working on the elbow for like 3 or 4 weeks. Then she was like, let me try something. Started doing some dry needle in the neck. And then next thing you know, miraculously, the elbow pain goes away. It's like, let's get an MRI of that. Oh, good Lord. It's like, yeah, you got some jacked up stuff. So it is what it is. It's one of those things, you put 29 years in, and it's a hard life, and ultimately your body pays for it. And I think the same thing, with our working dogs, man. Why did Duco get cancer? Is it inherent in their genes, or is it just from them being at such a ground level, sniffing up all that crap? You know, I'm going to say lean to the latter side and say it's probably all that stuff they're sniffing.
Mm-hmm. So many of them end up with cancer. It can't, there has to be something there. So what did he retires, you retire, off you go, turn all your shit in, out you go. What that look like after that? What'd you do for a little bit with him?
Man, I took full advantage of the retirement thing, right? So it's like, hey buddy, here's the couch. You want to hang out on the couch? You want to sleep in the bed? You want whatever? I said, I don't care. We still were working some routines, still working his obedience and stuff like that. But excuse me, I wasn't one of these guys that was like, hey, you can't be on the couch. Now I will say this, my wife, she introduced him to like the goldfish crackers. She introduced him to, let's have some snacks, from the table. So
he's probably like, really? Is this real? We can do this?
Well, that
this is a thing.
Eating stuff off the floor. So like, he wasn't used to eating stuff off the floor. Hey, I eat what's in this stainless steel pan that this guy gives me, and all's good because he's been trained. Hey, disregard the rest of the crap. You don't need it. Let's go. And yeah, so it's like, here's mama, pointing the toe, go, hey buddy, have this right here. He's kind of looking, going, oh yeah. And so she built that in. And then in turn, he kind of got dubbed the heater, because of course he would go up to her, kind of panting on her leg, because he knows he's going to get some type of snacks or table scraps or something from her. And she's like, can you get your dog? I'm like, absolutely not. I said, you have trained that behavior. I said, I will let you untrain it.
He's your dog now.
That's
He's
it.
yours now. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. He didn't have that problem with me.
Yeah. So I was, you taught him that one. So yeah. And then yeah, so did a little bit of stuff. I think it was, we retired in 17. I think it was 18. 511 hit us up with the launch of the they were working with Ubisoft for the whole Far Cry 5. And if anyone's seen Far Cry 5, the dog in there, Boomer, retrieves a rifle. And I had a working relationship with those guys. And they're like, hey, man, do you think Duco could retrieve a rifle? I'm like, I guess. I said, let's give it a shake. And, I said, nothing we've ever trained before, but I'm sure we can work some things out. And yeah, did a couple, rehearsals with him, picked it up quick. The only thing I did different, I still used a fully weighted rifle when I did it, but I just put fire hose on it because, him breaking a tooth for them making a video wasn't, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze on that one. And that was really the only thing I did different. But yeah, so he's next thing you know, retrieving that thing. And that kind of, if you want to say, launched Duco a little bit into, I want to say the stardom role, but it was like, yeah, man, it's like, who's this dog that's, fetching this rifle? Is that Boomer? I was like, no, that's Duco. So we had to make some corrections on stuff. But yeah, that got things rolling. We ended up doing an episode on Trigger Time TV, talking about military working dogs and that whole process. Did a little bit on that.
He had his own Instagram page, I saw.
He does have his own Instagram. Yep. So it's War Dog, 2 G's. So we're running with the same thing with the hog. So it's War Dog Duco, DUCO. And we still have it. It's now his memorial page. And because here's the thing, and I'm kind of fast forwarding, to losing him a little bit, but the building up that time, Duco started having people that would follow him. And the whole thing with the osteosarcoma, I had people reach out to me after I lost him, and they're like, he inspired me. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you've got a 3-legged dog that's out there getting after it, and I'm having this struggle, this trauma, this whatever. It just inspired me. And I was like, wow, never thought of it that way. So, he had built kind of that notoriety, he'd built kind of that following. And then in turn, the outpouring of support was absolutely phenomenal. So you had Explosive Apparel Design, UK-based company. They were in the process of doing the Blackbeard and Friend. So if you're all familiar with kind of the Blackbeard patch, so they've got the Blackbeard and Friend. Those guys reached out to me and say, hey man, you care if we do this in honor of Duco? And I was like, no, by all means. And then like, oh, by the way, we want to give money to charity. I'm like, Yeah, absolutely. But these guys took it a step further, right? So you could just have the plain old, Blackbeard and friend. But what he did was typically he just had the Union Jack on his apparel, because obviously a British company, but they put the U.S. flag on there. He put explosive apparel on the Union Jack, and then on the U.S. flag, he put Duco in there in the center. So, that was kind of the step of seeing the outpouring of support, for him. My buddy Paul up at Teutonic Distillery, we got done shooting a video with myself, Pat Mack, Jamie Caldwell, and Dutch Moyer. And I think it was Jamie that actually kind of initiated the initial either hitting Paul up to do the labels, because Paul had done some of his bourbon with, our specific labels on there. And one of them was that picture of me with Duco on my shoulder. And Jamie kind of started this thing, and I hit Paul up. I was like, hey, would you be willing to do an unarmed Duco label on there? He's like, yeah, absolutely. So now we've got clothes. Now we've got bourbon going on. And then Shannon winds up with the whole CrossFit thing, doing a memorial workout to Duco. So now I got people doing workouts, so it's like that support, people saying, hey man, your dog motivated me. He inspired me. He did this. Apparel, bourbon, workouts. That's it. I didn't want any of that stuff, but it keeps his memory alive, and it's telling the stories. And, we've had a couple articles done, but people don't understand the bond that's built. And I think that's the key part. And I'm not downplaying anybody that loses a pet. I'm not downplaying the loss at all. But people have to understand Duco was part of me. And it's very hard if you've never been on the battlefield or you've never had to employ a dog. He is part of me, the fact of when I would launch him from me, quick little prayer, God bring him back to me. And he always did. But it was like I'm sending myself out there in front of the pack, because this guy doesn't know any fear, and he's going to make sure that we're safe that night. And it's, I think that's the part that people don't get, is that bond. It's I am him and he is me. Here's this guy that requires everything but ask for nothing. So I'm not downplaying anybody else, but it's just a very difficult, it's hard to put it in words what that bond is. And then really the last kind of solidifying factor is I'm here on this planet because of that dog. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. So you put all that stuff together, and yeah, it's a total gut punch. It's a total emotion. And then you kind of go, yeah, I could have shut his IG page down. I didn't. So we're going to keep that up, keep that running, keep that memory alive. warhog.com, first thing you're going to come across, in honor of Duco. He's got his own kind of drop down in our about spot where it's like, hey, in honor of Duco. So it's just getting that word out there. Our K9 product line that we're getting ready to launch here shortly, I had to get my remade labels all done because I wanted that to say in honor of Duco. So it's just keeping that. Anytime you're doing something, from the War HOGG Tactical side, we're going to tell Duco's story. We're going to keep that going, and people are going to know that, yeah, he was absolutely the gold standard when it came to dogs, 100%. Like I said, if I could have cloned that dog, 100% I would have. He was that good.
This is the first interview that we've had after everything that's going on over there, which we're not really talking about. But there was an article that was written, and where did they have that, Eric? Have you seen that? And it was, I don't remember but it talked about how all of the retired SF dogs, and they use that term very loosely to include that entire community from NSW to Rangers to whoever, some of the Marsoc dogs, and that those dogs were an integral part of the whole process of coming back. And like you said, like he interacted with the guys, he interacted with the team.
What was it? The one that Jason did?
I think so. I think so. It was just like recently, recently
came out on Sunday.
Today's
right.
August 16th. Yeah, and it was
me and Kelly talked with Jason on that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I've read that, and I read through it, and I'm like, and it, you know, it kind of like ties together all the stories of guys that we've had on here, and everybody talks about, you know, because one of the things we always ask, and you've kind of talked about it, you're like, you know, is there a time you've had where you're like, oh shit, I'm glad the dog was there? And then also, you told the story about him tearing up the toy that somebody got, but we've had dogs eat people's sandwiches, eat people's food. Somebody's dog ate all the meat out of a sandwich and left them the bread. Like, thanks, bro.
Yeah.
So, is there another time that Duco, is there a time that you specifically remember that stands out that you're like, I'm really, really glad that he was here? And
Yeah. There's a bunch of, and I'm not going to get into all the details of them, but yeah, there's a bunch of things there that had he not been there, or had he not done his job, the pack wouldn't have came back as a whole. There would have been a deficit somewhere. And, you know, again, and here's the thing, right? I hate to do, hey, look at Duco, what Duco did, right? Because Duco came home. So that's easy, right? Let's look at the dogs that didn't come home. So you got to think that same 12 rotation, one of his teammates didn't come home, you know? So does anyone say the name Timo? Nope. But Timo got killed, you know, going after, you know, a couple guys barricaded up. And yeah, he gave the assault force that opportunity. You know, number one, they didn't really know exactly where these guys were at. Launched them out there, and, you know, obviously after they engaged Timo and he was killed, but yeah, they knew where they were at and stitched them up. But that's the thing. I don't like to go, hey, here's the Duco stories, right? Yeah, I'll give you generics. He did. But what about the dogs that didn't come home? So that very rotation we're talking about, you know, falling out of healer, everything else, one of his teammates did not come home, paid the ultimate sacrifice for his pack. And I think that's the part that people need to go. Take a look at the SFK9 Memorial and look at those names. And again, you're not going to get a whole bunch of stories, right? Probably nobody's ever heard, you know, the Timo story because I just said it. Pepper's probably the most famous, but then again, Pepper never came home. We still don't know. We still don't know to this day what happened to Pepper. You know, how's it? You know, think about it. What a gut punch that is.
Yeah, when we had Dave on, he talked about that, and
yeah,
you know, and he said even the 160th guys were like, they were flying around until the sun was coming up, and
they did everything. I still believe, you know, Pepper took old boy to the drink. That's just my opinion, right? I can't confirm it, but that's what I think. But you know, that's the part that it's those dogs. You know, I was fortunate enough to get my dog back. I was fortunate enough to retire my dog. How about the guy that's got to get back on the bird with his dog in a freaking ammo can? You know, do we ever talk about that stuff? Nope, we don't. You know, and again, I'm not trying to be somber or anything like that, but we have to look at those other dogs that paid the ultimate sacrifice. And, you know, what did they do? They gave up their life for their pack. And I think that's the part that people forget. So they're out there fearless. They don't understand fear. And they go out there, find the bad guys. Sometimes they're successful, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they hit that body bomber right as he's getting ready to clack, and that's enough to throw him at a certain angle where now the blast is going up versus at the boys. So those are the things, you know, I think it's important they get highlighted. I think those are the things that's important. You know, we talk these other dogs because people need to hear their story as well. So that's just kind of Rick's opinion on that.
Yeah. You know, the real quick, not funny thing, I guess, but when Duco passed pretty maybe I saw it on, I don't know, man, like 20, 30 pages.
Yeah.
If it was Rick Hogg that had passed, maybe a couple places would have said it, but it just goes to show you the love that people have for those dogs and what they mean to people. And you know, and I know you wouldn't have it any other way. You wouldn't care. You know what I mean? So it's and like the workout you're talking about, that came out fast. Like I was like, holy shit, I am not in shape for that. I was trying to work up to something. Yeah.
So when Shannon first did that, you know, the buy-in was a 100-pound sandbag, you know, for the run. I was like, Shannon, let's do this. That's cool. I said, let's go 60. That was his fighting weight. I said, let's make it a 60-pound, like you're hauling him. She's like, sounds good with me. But that was the thing, right? So all these things happened kind of near simultaneous, so Explosive Apparel is getting ready to do their series. Boom. They reach out, to Tonic, Shannon, all that stuff. And believe it or not, to the best of my knowledge, because I did put a disclaimer when I put that post out, I told the interwebs, and I think all but one that I've come across has made a mention to him. I was like, if you're going to take this picture, I said, make sure you mention Duco and you say something to keep his name alive. Just don't steal the picture because, it's a cool picture. Who cares? Take this picture and go, boom. It's in honor of Duco or something to mention him. That was my whole point. And like I said, thus far, I think I've only had one. They might have tagged us in it, but they really didn't put a mention. I'm like, guys, come on. And of course, I basically took the same thing that I wrote, copied and pasted it, and put it in the remarks. So, but that was, I shouldn't have to put a disclaimer, but this day and age you do. Hey, to the interwebs, if you're going to use it, throw him the bone, because I just wanted him to be remembered. And I think for the most part, everyone did. But yeah, like you said, there was a bunch of people, that reposted it and got it out there. And so I am super grateful for that. And oh, by the way, people are still doing it, right? So now people are still reposting some of his pictures. We've got a new hashtag in honor of Duco. So you got to look at all the apparel stuff, all the bourbon stuff, all the workout stuff in honor of Duco. So it's one more way, to keep things going. And then I've got, things like, the Duco flag, back there from Jason and Sonny. So just the overwhelming support. That's the part that gets me. Even the guys at 511, because I did a podcast right before we kind of got the catastrophic news, but I knew his cancer had come back. And it was with Jackson, his mom and dad, and, service dog Chase. And I get very emotional. So I'm actually kind of surprised I kept my emotions together with you guys. But it was emotional because, I know these guys, and I knew kind of the diagnosis, but I didn't know how bad. And they were very respectful because they posted it after he had passed, and they just put a mention there. So everything's been good. But, getting back to his osteosarcoma, right? Because I think this is important for guys to understand. So what? I had Duco 9 years, I guess. And I didn't realize, even when I kind of felt his back leg, because when we initially looked at this, it's like, man, there's something wrong with his leg. I couldn't feel it. The vet, as soon as she touched it, she's like, I think he's got osteosarcoma. I'm like, what's that? Now I'm out there on the Google machine going, what? It's like, oh. So we went through that whole process, but it's one of those that, is it what they do? Is it what they're exposed to? Is it whatever? I don't know, but I would just tell guys, if you see anything going wrong with your dog, especially, with their legs, get it checked out immediately. Because we thought originally, because we've got hardwood floors here in the house, we thought he just kind of busted his butt racing around the couch, and just kind of lost it. And all right, hey, it just wasn't healing up the right way. But and I think I was naive on it as well. So fantastic surgeons that took care of him. Obviously they amputated the leg. They took the lymph node as well. Lymph node came back as it was clean. And then, oh, by the way, yeah. So his lymph node, nothing, no cancer detected. And then we do 4 rounds of chemo. So I'm thinking in my mind, I got years with this guy. I said, we are going to have fun, with my new tripod, 3-legged dog, whatever you want to say. And we did. Things were progressing very well. And then I guess it was in June, he started having some issues with that rear paw. I'm thinking, all right, did he mess it up? Did he jack it up? And it was getting, it was a little swollen. So it was like thinking, all right, some type of soft tissue. What I think was actually going on with him, unbeknownst to me, and we didn't realize this until the Thursday before he passed, because I put everything in days of the week because it makes sense to me. Took him in because we had, I think it was like in April. He had, some dental done, had his chest x-ray. Everything was clean. bring him back in June, to get the rear paw looked at. Said, hey, since he's here, let's grab some x-rays. All right, we got some spots back, but his blood work didn't look super crazy. By that next Thursday, because we had some dramas that day, I needed to bring him back in on the vet. Blood work was out of control, more spots back, and basically his cells were breaking down. So I think the edema I was seeing beforehand was the onset of the cells breaking down. And then, because his front paws were just absolutely huge, and it got to a point where it was just painful for him to walk in. And here's the thing, Duco, I don't know of another dog that had such the pain tolerance that dog did. His pain tolerance was astronomical. He would not let you know one iota. And maybe that was why, earlier on, he never showed any signs of symptoms. He just, powered through. That was Duco. That's just part of who he was. But you could tell right there towards the end, it was rough for him to do anything. And, unfortunately, we sat there and, all right, let's give you one more 4th of July, buddy. And unfortunately, we made the decision on the 5th of July that, we're going to end his suffering. And he had that look, you could tell he was tired, and it's like, but yeah, that was the biggest gut punch going, and still dealing with it today. But I would just say this, whether it's your viewers, your listeners, mine, whoever, interwebs, the amount of prayer support, absolutely overwhelming, from flash to bang from the start of this thing, from basically me putting kind of the first prayer request out in November to him passing. And it still continues today. So I couldn't ask for better support. And then really it's just kind of taking on that next mission of, number one, just keeping his memory alive, and just keep telling his story. So whether it's people wearing clothes, sipping bourbon, working out, whenever my product line ships, just everything just to remember this dog, his sacrifice, what he did. And like I said, in my opinion, and I don't say this just because he was mine, but he is the gold standard of a combat assault dog. So if I could duplicate him, I would.
Yeah, that's tough, man. That's really tough. But I'm sure you're thankful for every second that you got to have with that dog, even the bad ones, man.
I was 100% blessed
Mm-hmm.
To get an additional 7 months with him, right? And here's the thing. I put out, I don't know if I did it before that day or whatever, but we recorded a video on the 5th, out there in the backyard, just kind of thanking everybody for what they did. And you look at him, he's laying down, everything looks all right, but everything was just
not all right.
He was so swollen up and things were just breaking down. It's just like, oh God. And yeah, so you kind of knew the inevitable was happening or going to happen. But like I said, at the end of the day, just the support has been the overwhelming deal. Mm-hmm. And I can't thank people enough for all that. And I can't thank people enough for keeping it going. That's really the thing at the end of the day is, continue to do stuff in honor of him.
Yeah, man, that's super touching. All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to get into the business side with War HOGG Tactical. So take this time during the commercial break to go wipe your tears, because that was pretty strong segment there. Yeah. Stick around. We will be right back. All right, Working Dog Radio. We are back broadcasting the bite here with Rick Hogg from War HOGG Tactical. Just went through the life and times of Duco, and how his work life and all the sacrifice he made in his retirement, and what the end of his life looked like. That was pretty poignant. So yeah, change gears here a little bit, lighten it up just a tad. Sure. So we were Ted and I both were checking out the website, warhoggtactical.com, right?
Or warhogg.com.
Looks like warhogg.com.
Yep.
A lot of training videos and things on there. I know you got a ton of stuff going on. Let's talk about the new K9 stuff you got coming up. And if you want to talk about what's coming up in October in Muscatatuck.
Yeah, so beginning of September, October, we're out at Muscatatuck Training Center out in Indiana with the American Tactical K9 Association. So obviously JC, known him for a bunch of years, reached out to me. Said, yeah, buddy, we'll help you out, get this thing up off the ground. So I'll be teaching 4 days of pistol out there to the LEO K9 handlers.
Mhm.
Still working out, I think everyone's bringing dog. I don't know. There's still some dynamics to figure out what everyone's doing. People are just coming out, bringing dogs, not bringing dogs. So we'll work through all that stuff out there. But yeah, super excited for that and just getting that thing and really just getting the word out there. So the biggest thing guys need to understand, I don't know that guys will get a better deal because I believe it's $500 for a week worth of training. Oh, by the way, he's going to have a vendor day. So you're going to see a bunch of, different stuff that's out there and really just be exposed. So what JC did was pull out the old Rolodex from the guys we used to work with
Mhm.
and just a who's who and pick some fantastic people. So it really gives guys the opportunity. And hopefully you don't do what you're good at, do the things that your dog struggles at and go find those points. Or if you're weak in the marksmanship side, myself and Dutch will be out there or whatever, but do something to improve yourself. Because too many times what you see is, all right, let's say, for example, you've got, a good bite dog or whatever. All right, you always want to do bite work, but are you doing the detection stuff? Nope. Because why? He stinks at detection, but you don't want to show anybody that. So just get out there and work that. But I think that'll be a great venue for people to really enhance their skills and just a phenomenal. I think he's got 21 instructors thus far. So yeah,
Yeah,
that'll be a great.
We had him on recently, and he went through a bunch of them. And I mean, it's
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
know
you
him.
only get
We
to
know him.
you only get
know him. Know him.
yeah, and you only get to pick like 3 or 4. I don't remember how many you get to pick. They give one a day or something, right? So you get like 5 days or 4. So out of
Yeah.
the 21, you got to pick you're like, oh
You got to
shit.
pick them.
Use your time
So,
wisely.
yeah, that's
it.
why, because everyone listening, because everyone knows cops waits the last fucking minute, and we were like, don't wait, because if there's one you want to go to, it's gonna fill up. I promise.
Yeah,
And it's $500 training, lodging, and food.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's crazy.
It's a steal. You will not find a better deal out there. But the thing is, I got it. We're in a current day and age where people say the funding, defund and all this other stuff, but there's money out there because trust me, the department's still out there training, and $500 to drop in the bucket, for guys looking to train. So yeah, that'll be a good time. I don't know if you guys are rolling out that way or not, but
Yeah, we're talking about going out there
Yeah.
and doing podcast stuff.
okay.
Just setting up and
Like-
getting interviews and maybe doing some lives and
because there's 21 instructors that like all at
Yeah.
once. So I'm like, fuck.
some have been on the podcast,
been.
some haven't.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll definitely. Now I've been to MUTC 3 times. Have you been up
Okay.
there at all?
I've never been. So
Oh, yeah, you'd be like,
And-
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
So last time I was there, just taught there a couple months ago,
Mhm.
and some of the boys from your old unit were there doing some night stuff, and it was good. The place always impresses me, man. There's so many cool stuff up there, and for me, it's about 6-hour drive, 6.5. It's not bad.
Okay.
I know the Cincy boys, it's like 45 minutes for them, for
Yeah.
Donnie and them guys.
Yep.
But yeah, that place is awesome. So what other things, you said you got some new stuff coming out for through War HOGG?
Yeah, so we're gonna do. We're in the final kind of phases here, and I say final, but I say potentially ramping up as well. So we're getting ready to launch the start of our K9 product line. Again, long time coming. Obviously, with last year, put a total kibosh. My original manufacturer, because again, I was trying just to stay small and local. I'm not sure what happened, old boy. Try to call, text, email, every type of communication, heard nothing from him. So cause you to switch some gears, find somebody else. And of course, by the time you're doing, hey, let's get samples back. And oh, by the way, supply chain issues that's going on with everything nowadays. We're right about at that finished point. So hopefully we'll be launching the first of many, but then, oh, by the way, it's just things have it. Got approached by another company today that might want to do some collab stuff, to kind of expand on that whole thing. So super excited about that. But yeah, you will see there's a couple things that are non-negotiable with me. Non-negotiable number one, anyone I partner with when it comes to manufacturing, it will be made here in the USA. I will have that flag on there. No ands, ifs, or buts. So if somebody's out there listening from company X that decides they want to do business with War HOGG Tactical, especially on the product line side, if you're not willing to make it in the US, sorry, I don't want to do business. That's just, non-negotiable. Number two is it's got to say, so like we're talking about redoing the remade labels in honor of Duco. It's got to have that on there. So that's the other part of this key thing, because everything that's designed, the stuff that we're getting ready to come out with, was all born off the battlefield, all because of these dogs I worked. And here's the thing, it just doesn't have, it's just not a single type application. So I won't let all the cats out of the bag. What I will tell people is, hey, if they go to warhog.com, sign up for our newsletter, that when we get ready to launch this thing, because I will let the people on the newsletter know prior to, I'd launch it out, if you want to say, on social, because to me, that's your true people. So we look at all these different numbers and stuff on social. You can have umpteen thousand followers. Okay, are they really following? Or are they not? But a person that's willing to sign up for the newsletter, hey, they're kind of committed. So we give them the benefit of the doubt on all that stuff. So we'll sit there and launch that out to those guys first, and then we'll start kind of the marketing campaign and get the word out there, and launch stuff and go from there. So exciting times on that. But yeah, those are my kind of two non-negotiables when it comes to stuff.
Like it. So I just grabbed my phone and made sure I was following you on Instagram and your other social media pages. I know I follow the dog on there. We're going to try to get up. We're going to try. Follow the dog. Who cares about you? No offense. I'm just kidding. So
trust me, he's a bit, but that was, so I got to hit this, right? Just because you brought it up. Is everyone would always ask, when I'm out running my firearms training classes, hey, is Duco coming? I'm like, no, I've tried that before. And you people are all distracted and just want to mess with the dog.
Yeah.
And you're not out here. That's it.
Like, hey, you are up on the range. Get your ass over here.
Yeah. It's like, hey man, let's go bring Duco up. Hey man, we're here to shoot guns, come on. But yeah. So finally got to the point. No. Is Duco coming? No. He's hanging out at the couch with mama.
Yeah, eating crackers and shit off the floor.
Eating goldfish.
That's it. Or getting some new toy. That was the other thing. She would spoil with toys too.
Are you still East Coast?
I am. Yep. Still North Carolina based, but we travel all over the country. So, pretty much what I do is, if it's east of the Mississippi, I'll pretty much drive. If it's west, we're jumping on a plane and flying, just because it kind of makes logistically more sense.
You have to get you to come up. My facility is 40,000 square feet. Nice. And I have a 10-room sim round shoot house in it. And it's heated and bathrooms. So maybe we'll set up something for the winter. Yeah, no AC. So summer is kind of out. But and the nice thing about my place is there's no windows. So at 9 o'clock in the morning, it's pitch black. So you can run nods on guys, things like that. So we'll have to see about maybe getting you to come up for a weekend.
Absolutely.
Well, man, I'm going to get on the website and sign up for the newsletter for sure. Where else you want to plug up the interweb social media place where people can find you?
Really? So here's the thing. I drive everyone to warhog.com because number one, not everyone has social, but if you go to warhog.com, that
I call them the lucky ones, the people who don't have fucking social media.
Well, it's Warhog with 2 G's. So
it is 2 G's.
It's like on your hat, but if you're not watching this on YouTube, you can't see that. So
So WARHOGG. Because here's the thing, for the most part, pretty much everyone has the interwebs, but they don't have the social, which, trust me, if I wasn't running a business, I wouldn't have social either.
Amen.
But if you go to warhog.com, if you want to see us on social, we got all our social links on there. On the Range podcast is there. If you want to get part of our Patreon, that's on there. My courses, my products, all my stuff, my instructional DVD, everything you need. I've tried to make warhog.com the one-stop shop, because again, it used to be people would always go, hey, where can we find you on social? I'm on this and I'm on that. You know what? To me, because I know I'm manipulated by big tech. My platform, I own that. I put the content on there. I can put whatever I want on there, right? So that's why I direct everyone, hey, go to warhog.com. Oh, by the way, within the first 10 seconds, whatever, the little newsletter is going to pop up. If you're that interested, do me a favor. Subscribe to the newsletter. Trust me, I don't bombard you. I typically do about a monthly newsletter just to give people what's up, because it really used to be, when I started the whole newsletter process, people want to know about Duco, and it was just my phone was being blown up on the social platforms. How's Duco? How's Duco? How's Duco? Okay, watch it. Check it out, guys. Sign up for the newsletter. Boom, here you go. And there would be a section on there, and we still might do it, kind of Duco update or whatever's going on with Duco. I think in the last one, we talked about, I think July's we talked about the apparel, and in August we talked about the bourbon. Probably September's I'll mention the workout, and a bunch of people doing that. But to me, that's the place to go, one-stop shop. Links to some of our YouTube stuff, because we got stuff on YouTube as well. A little bit of K9 stuff on there. Me talking to the SOF K9 Memorial in 2018. A bunch of just different inside of military working dogs. But anything I get, content-wise, just always driving it to warhog.com so that people can get the one-stop shop that I control, and I'm not worried about big tech pulling down my bourbon because I'm selling it. It's like, no, there's a distributor that's selling it. I'm not selling bourbon out of my garage. But
Right.
yeah, they pulled a post down on that. I'm just like, guys, read the full thing, would you? But
God.
so that's my rant on the big tech and being frustrated with that.
So On the Range podcast,
Yep.
what is that about?
All
Obviously,
things,
this is like
all
working
thi-
dog stuff, but so what's On
Right.
the Range?
On the Range is all things America. Bam.
All right.
Plus,
Boom.
boom. Plus, we got not just Americans on there. So, here's the thing, man. We reach out to everybody, or now we got it where people are starting to reach out to us, and really, we kind of skin it two different ways. We got a couple variants. So obviously, we got our guests that go on there. The guest is about the guest, so it's the guest show. Hey, man, do you got an agenda? Nope. We talk about whatever they want to talk about. So for example, we had, I think Jack Carr is a good one. Jack came on. Jack really didn't want to talk about the launch of the book. He wanted to talk about him filming the terminal list and kind of all the stuff there. Got super excited about Magnum PI. We never deep dove into Magnum PI like I wanted to. But yeah, it's the guest show. Another buddy of mine, Greg Thompson, he was talking all about his product lines and working with Vertex and stuff like that. So
Pulling it up right now.
So, that's, we've had a bunch of people on there. We've had Hoyce on there, Pat Mack. So Tim Kennedy's been on there. So it's just, we make it their show. And then me and Mark get on there, kind of talk about kind of whatever's going on. We started the War HOGG Words of Wisdom, and actually that was started with Duco. And unfortunately, we kind of got that series cut short. So I got a couple more still left to run on those, but then I'm going to pick it up. And pretty much the War HOGG Words of Wisdom is typically questions and stuff like that people ask. So like if you look at, I think it was number one, we talked about, his osteosarcoma because people asked about it. Number two, I had some people going, hey man, what's the best book for tactics? It's like, get you one of them Ranger handbooks, and we kind of went into that stuff. So that's kind of the words, stuff on there. Mark's doing a little spin off of that, Vantage Point. So we're dabbling in a bunch of different stuff when it comes to the podcast. But like you said before, it's all learning. So there's no magical podcast book out there.
No, there is not.
Yeah. And how you navigate it, how you get it. So it's same thing with you guys, with our listeners. It's all about them hitting the subscribe button, them leaving a rating or review. I don't care if it's just a thumbs up emoji. Leave us something, because in the grand scheme, that kicks these algorithms to go, oh, people are listening to these guys, and we should move them further up to get more reach. And it's all big tech, guys. And not to get on the political side, but I ended up doing a podcast with a Pro 2A podcast. And the thing was, I had that aha moment, right? It's not about 2A. It's about the first. So you look at our founding fathers, why did they make the first? Because when you shut people's ability down to freely speak, man, and that's in essence what's going on. So that's why you kind of need people's help. Hey, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the rating, review. I don't really, trust me, save your time, just hit a thumbs up emoji, something. Because that's going to get the magic machine to go, oh, people like this guy, or give me the middle finger one. I don't care what you do, just something. Just give me the
The
5-star.
eggplant. Do the eggplant. Do egg.
Yeah, I have fun with it.
Yeah, do the
leave
eggplant
me,
one. That'd be good.
yeah, do all the emojis you want. I don't care. But it's just, we've turned into this day and age where, it's platforms like this, right? So it's us talking, cool, that's us. There's nobody else getting involved. But where they get involved is how much reach can we get? And that's why we need, the viewers, listeners out there to go, okay, cool. And then, oh, by the way, if you like what you're hearing, pass it to your friends. Hey, man, have you guys heard this?
Yeah.
And just try to use the whole grassroots to get the word out, and so people know. So
I just went on there and rated it and reviewed, and it would not let me put the eggplant on there. I tried.
Yeah, did they
Okay.
not?
No, it just I
Seriously?
typed in eggplant and it just fucking would stick. It was not. You would not give me the emoji, fuckers.
That's if
Okay.
you're not watching this on YouTube, you can't see my face, but that's
I'm surprised by that.
Yeah, and really? Well,
but it just, but that's the whole point, right? So it just goes to show, even if you wanted to give me the eggplant, I guess you can't. So it's all this backside control. That's the part that's killing me, man. So
that's why we try and this isn't really like a politics show, because believe me, you can definitely, there is definitely a political side to what we talk about based on
Sure.
everything that happened last summer and what's
Mhm.
going on now. And Eric and I, mainly Eric, is famous for everybody will forget in 13 minutes and move on to something else. Don't worry about it.
Yep.
So
Give it a day.
everybody's outraged at something, and then they're not outraged about it anymore. So we
No,
are
but-
working on a guest that is extremely political,
Mhm.
and I mean super political, but he has some very interesting things to say, and it should be an interesting show if I can nail him down, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But that will be one of the only ones that we do. But you're right. I mean, from the beginning, we always, and especially with the video platform here, you're really limited on what you can and can't say. And, we get, well, we haven't been demonetized, but the last episode, Eric talked about a baby playing with a gun. I was like, oh, that's, that'll work. That'll do it.
You just got to
That'll
get
do
past
it.
the first 30 seconds, and
You
then you're
just sit there
good.
and look at each other for
Well,
30 seconds.
at least you're monetized. So
Yeah.
you're doing something.
Right.
I've yet to, I don't know. I don't even,
I
When
can't
it
even
comes to
buy a
YouTube-
Monster Energy drink with it yet, so it's
Dude,
not really
I-
on.
Yeah,
well,
I mean-
no, but the point being is I can't figure out, even on the YouTube side, right? So I knew we were being shadow banned on Instagram. I knew
Mhm.
Duke was, because where he's tied to me. But then when it comes to the YouTube side, people's like, oh, video quality, this and that, and yada yada yada. Okay, I just launched in the spring 27 some odd videos professionally done by Pandio Productions for the launch of the Walther PDP,
Mhm.
and you're telling me I get zero growth out of it? Okay.
When we're
No.
not
Onto the
yeah,
website.
Yeah, there's when we stop recording here, I'll
Okay.
tell you. Yeah.
Sounds good. Gotcha.
Yeah. So speaking of which, that's where we can find you, War HOGG Tactical. I'm at
No,
Torchlight K9, or sorry,
warhog.com.
warhog.com.
we're gonna put it in the show notes, even though I fuck it up. You can just scroll down and just hit the button. Just go straight to it. That's don't listen to me. Just fucking scroll to the bottom. I'm at Torchlight K9, letter K number 9 on Instagram and Facebook, and Torchlight Pets is on Instagram too for all the pet stuff. So if you want to watch me training the little short hair pointers, you can do it there. I'm got my interns working them, and we have my explosive dog. She's 10 weeks old. She's already got she's got about half a minute on odor, and she'll stay indirect reward food. I mean, she's rock star. So she'll be we're gonna finish we're gonna sell her at some point too, as a green dog, and then I got to do puppies, but that's forever. Eric, where are you at?
Van K9 on Instagram, same at Facebook. VanSK9.com is the website. I got pricing on there if people reach out to me a lot about police dogs. Everything's on there. I put a post up yesterday on Instagram of a picture of the monkey that I used to own.
Oh, that's
I've
right.
told the monkey story quite a bit. I owned him in 1989, 1990. And my dad was going through some stuff and found an old picture of him sitting there with Toby on his head. And my daughter said, you used to let him sit on your head? And I'm like, there was no let. Toby did what he wanted to do. And if you reached up to try to get him off, you were going to lose a finger. So
Excellent.
those of you who have considered or had this thing where you want to own a monkey, don't do it. I'm
Don't
telling
do
you. It's the most manpower intensive
Oh.
thing. It's more than having a kid, and they'll still bite you, and they're disgusting and mean as shit. It's not good. So I thought it was cool because I was working at a strip club, and I had a ton of cash under my mattress, and I went and dropped, this was 1989. I dropped $3,000 on a monkey. Like, no, I was like the original Mike Tyson, right? And bought the cage, bought the monkey. So I had like $4,000 in the damn thing, and I was living in an apartment. So he was in my bedroom, and
this is where he would turn the fucking light off, and you would go turn it on, and he'd freak out.
Oh no! Real quick story. Now I got to go to the kennel. We would a whole object permanence thing with monkeys. They can't see you, can't see them. They can't see you. Type deal. I would stand against the door because he could open doors, and my buddy would sit on the dresser, and Toby would run up my shoulder, turn the light off, run down, and go over and run up my buddy and bite him. He'd bite him right here on his shoulder. And so what we started doing was he would turn the light off, roll up there. My buddy would go, now, and I'd flip the light on, and Toby would have his shoulder in with his mouth open, and then stop, turn, run over, shut the light off, run back now. And we do that for hours, dude. For hours, drinking beer, laughing our ass. He would do it every time. He never just said, screw it, I'm going to bite you anyways. We'd catch him. He'd turn around, run back, and turn the light off. Then piss on me and all that type of stuff. So it's not fun.
Nice.
Yeah, we were not allowed to have pets. We had 2 14-foot Burmese pythons, 5 lizards, a monkey, and 2 cats. And both the cats vanished when one of the snakes got out.
They got eaten by the fucking
Shocking.
snake. Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, we're missing a 14-foot python who was actually got in behind the stove and up into the rafters.
What's wrong with you? On this
and
episode
then
of
both
how white people
cats
die.
disappeared.
Like, what is it with fucking
Yeah,
weird ass
we're just
pets?
dumb.
Yeah.
There was a kid in the neighborhood who used to, in the complex, who would come
The fuck is
and
wrong
bring
with a
kids
dog?
over and charge them money to show them around our apartment. All the freak
dog.
show stuff we had going there. Oh, it was interesting, man. We had, I don't know, the strippers. There's a lot going on.
1989.
Yeah. Now my kid is 30, and he is a product of all that.
Rick, this has been an awesome episode, man. So we really appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah. So everybody else, we will see you guys later.
And hopefully we'll see you in Indiana.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, this episode has been brought to you by great sponsors of ours. Please don't skip through this. Take a listen to them. One of our oldest sponsors and great friends of ours are the people down at Highland K9 down in North Carolina. I really like them. We see them at all the conferences. I know a lot of people have been to their school for dog trainers. They've been on the podcast. Highland K9, they're a full service canine and pet dog training business where they can train you to be a trainer. They can get you a dog. They have handler classes. They have supervisor classes. They have trainers courses for just LE. They have them for anybody who wants to be in the dog business, be a dog trainer of any kind. Check them out. Their website is tacticalpolicek9training.com, tacticalpolicek9training.com. If you are smart, you'll go down there in the winter. It is North Carolina. It is warm. You get to work dogs. It's no joke school, guys. You're not going down there for a month and rushing through it. They're actually trying to make you real deal dog trainers. Tacticalpolicek9training.com.
Next is a sponsor that's been with us for quite a while, Dogtra. I love Dogtra stuff, and they continually keep bringing out new products. One of the things that I've been using a lot lately is the new Tone Box. If you're a pet trainer or if you train a lot of police officers, and I harp at my guys all the time about timing, and this thing literally compares to the remote. And when you're using the remote, whether you're using Nick, constant, or vibrate, it makes a noise. So you can get the timing down 100% consistent. And so I can demonstrate how to do an out with an e-collar immediately, quickly, and it is so effective that I can't believe that it took me forever to figure it out to get that. They've also got these new comfort feather, like titanium things that go on the collars that are fantastic for making sure we got contact. It actually has 6 points, and this comes in 2 sizes, and it's a titanium feather thing. They're awesome. They got comfort contact points for the bark collars, the YS600, one of my favorite things. I have about 50 of them at the kennel, and it is dead silent. and I put them on all the pet dogs, and I can leave them on because they have the comfort contact points, and they're fantastic. All this stuff you can get at dogtra.com. And if you use the discount code WDR10, you get 10% off a single item over $200. So that covers the ball trainer, that covers the 1900 Ask Hands Free, which is my personal favorite for all the big dogs. It covers the 2-dog system, the 202C, which I use for the 2-dog pet guys, and fantastic. So dogtra.com, or go to @dogtraofficial on all the socials. That's Facebook, Instagram, all those places. So hit them up, dogtra.com.
Guys, I don't even shop any other sites when I'm looking for everything for dogs. Our one-stop shop for anything pet dog training and police dog training, hunt dog training, anything you need, you can find at rayallen.com. They have been doing it forever. We have a great relationship with them. Again, they're at all the conferences. You can stop up and talk to them. They have more stuff there than any place. rayallen.com. They are amazing. We have a great, really, really good relationship with those guys. Like I said, I get on their website. I do not look anywhere else. I just get on Ray Allen. Why should I? Fill up my cart, pay it, boom, shipping. Here we go. Everything's coming. rayallen.com. And guess what? We do have a discount code for them. Working Dog Radio for 10% off. It's all one, Working Dog Radio, and it's all caps. Check them out, rayallen.com.
I'm not too ashamed to admit that I used our own discount code to buy stuff for the kennel. We have American Aluminum next. They're a new sponsor for moving forward. They have been around for quite a while. They manufacture a wide variety of products, from the high quality cam lockers and toolboxes to a huge line of products designed to meet the ever-changing needs of law enforcement community. Back in 1992, due to the demand for safe, secure transport for a nearby law enforcement department's K9, they introduced the very first Easy Rider K9. They have continuously grown and expanded products, catering to the needs and wants of the valued customers and high-profile clientele. Over the years, as the needs have changed, they have evolved and expanded their products to include inmate transport systems, canine training aids, canine inserts, contraband, containment, and animal control systems, just to name a couple things. So you can find them at easyrideronline.com. That is Easy Echo Zulu Rider Online.com. You can find them on the socials at American Aluminum Accessories, and then you can hit them up toll free, 1-800-277-0869. You don't have to worry about writing all that down. We're going to put it in the show notes. So just scroll down to the bottom, write it down, click the link, takes you straight there out into your phone.
Our first sponsor we ever had, he's our ride or die. He's been with us since the beginning, is Arno over at ALM K9 Equipment. His stuff is so good. Ted, gets suits. Ted's suit, he's had it for a long time. Arno's fixed it. He's taken 1 million bites on it. It still holds up. The thing's amazing. I've got a suit from him. I love it. Use it all the time. But the main thing that I really love about Arno is his hidden sleeves are ridiculously amazing. They are the best. And his tugs. I usually buy tugs from Arno by the box load. He'll send me a whole bunch of them. I hand them out to the handlers, new handlers when they come in, experienced handlers. They last for a long time. They're amazing. The craft work is great. Arno's doing all the sewing there. He's got pre-made suits. He can do custom-made suits, everything you need out there. And he's out there in sunny Las Vegas. Get on his website, check him out, almk9equipment.com, almk9equipment.com. Discount code WD Radio, all caps, 10% off your first order. Check them out.